Hi there, Alaska photographer Jeff Schultz here, and today I want to show you a behind-the-scenes look at a commercial photo shoot I did on location. I was hired by a local helicopter company to make photographs at their Glacier dog sledding experience. This company has a little over 25 dogs from a top Iditarod musher, which they flew along with dog houses, human dwellings, and all life necessities up onto a glacier in the Chugach Mountains outside Palmer. And throughout the summer, they offer a scenic helicopter trip up to this dog camp for tourists to get a unique experience of not only riding on a dog sled, but also the backstory to what it takes to feed, care, and train the dogs of an Iditarod team. A lot of people really love this experience. It's really a quite unique experience. When I'm approached to do a photo assignment like this for a client, the first thing I want to understand is obviously not only what kind of photos they want made, but to me, more importantly, is exactly what they want the viewer of these photos to come away with. To me, that's the biggest deal. What should the person looking at it feel or understand? So, knowing what the end game is for the photos is crucial for me to create a successful set of photos that have impact. In this particular case, the client told me these photos would be used in social media marketing, banner ads, as well as on their website, and they wanted just the complete experience of being up at camp. And the answer to the second question is they wanted the people to come away with thinking that this is going to be a fun, happy experience, not a cold one, in a breathtaking location. So, lots of smiles, and to the best of my ability, with some helicopter aspect to the photos if possible. So, using actual tourists instead of hired models certainly made a more real look to the photos, but also was a bit of a photographer's challenge. It's a bit harder to control tourists not only in what they wear, but also how they react to the camera. But we did the best we could with what we had, and it turned out to be a very successful one-day photo shoot. Of course, it was easy to get the tourists to smile because it's such a grand experience and they were loving the dogs and the puppies. The first set of tourists took off on the dog sleds right away, and I was able to make a, quote, small dog team in the big landscape photo, unquote, that I like, as the sun just came over the mountains, which I always think works well. And then photographed them as they ran on the glacier and returned back into the staging area. Look at that camera right there. Cool. All right, how about a smile? There you go. And then they were interacting with the sled dogs, which is really what the client was after. Always a good shot to get are pictures of people taking pictures of each other, as there seems to always be a lot of smiles going on there. I love these types of photo assignments because I'm typically photographing people just plain enjoying themselves. And many of them enjoy being photographed with the hopes that their photo may get published in marketing for the company. So they ham it up. The clients spend a good amount of time interacting with the dogs, which is good for both socializing for the dogs and the amount of kisses a tourist gets from the puppies and dogs. They love it.
Hey, Bane!
These two gentlemen certainly enjoyed the attention they got from these little pups, and the dog's owners, of course, very much appreciate that socialization they get by being handled by as many people as possible. I certainly enjoyed the fact that these guys wanted to have their pictures taken and were so into it. That helped me out a lot. Everybody loves dogs, and the sled dogs have such great disposition and personality and are treated so well that a sled dog seems to be loved even more than the average dog. So I made an extra effort to photograph these dogs and get their personality to shine through in the images. Not the easiest of feats to do, but essential nonetheless. And I did my best to include the helicopter in the background, of course. You know, photographing live action dogs is always a challenge. I've done it a lot of times and it never seems to get any easier. But if you shoot enough photos, eventually you get a good one here and there. Now, when a second group of clients came in, I photographed them from the very time they landed and left the helicopter, where they listened to their orientation from their guide on how to ride a dog sled and a little bit about the kennel, and I followed them through the whole tour. At the actual dog sleds they were going to ride, they received yet more instruction where the guides had to talk over the barking of the excited sled dogs. These dogs just love to ride. I had to shoot many frames a second as they hopped on the sled and the drag sled with the excited dogs hooked up, and off they went. I was just hoping to get one good frame out of that situation. As soon as they left, I hopped on a snow machine with one of the dog camp guides. Previously, we went out by snow machine and spotted a place that would work for photographing the dogs in action. The spot we scouted out was at a point in the trail where I could make photos of the tourists running their teams coming at me, as well as far off in the distance with the grand Chugach Mountains in the background. If you stay with the lead dog and just 10 feet off the trail, okay. Kind of a constant pace.
Okay.
So with a 100 to 400 on my 5D Mark IV body, I shot while sitting on the snow machine, just because of the amount of time it would take for me to get back on the snow machine is too long, and I didn't want to have the team need to stop for me. So I just sat down and shot from there, because these dogs are moving right along. I positioned myself in this spot of the trail because the team would be making a turn, and I anticipated that there would be some kind of action of people leaning and such, rather than just stoic standing straight up. And as it turned out, that was a good call, and I really liked the fact that the one lady was just smiling from ear to ear and her hair blowing in the breeze. These were one of my favorite photos from the day. I'm using autofocus continuous to keep everybody sharp for many frames a second.
That's a good distance?
Yeah, for now. Team dogs right in here. And as we pre-planned earlier, the snow machine guide paced the dog team directly parallel to them in order to get some more action shots from yet a different angle. The idea here is to get as many different angles as I possibly could. So here I'm shooting with a Canon 24-105 lens on a Canon 1DX body. I'm shooting at a super fast shutter speed of an 800th of a second at about f/14 and ISO 400 because I wanted a fast shutter speed to get a sharp image from the bouncing snow machine, and f/14 because I wanted a decent amount of depth of field, so that necessitated me going to ISO 400. And I'm shooting 14 frames a second so that I get the right expression on the dogs and the people. Okay, then go in front of them. Then we zoomed up ahead of the team in order to get a telephoto shot, and I switched bodies quickly to the 100 to 400 to make these final mushing shots. All right, blue pool. Another location we scouted out earlier was a blue pool of water on the glacier. And that's where we were headed to next, bouncing along on the snow machine and to photograph the same team in that different location. Whenever I'm doing a photo shoot like this that requires a snow machine, I really appreciate the skill of the driver of the snow machine. I'm concentrating on photographing, figuring out what's about to come next and get set up for it. And I'm looking at my camera settings and all this stuff, and I wouldn't have the time to do all that and jump on the snow machine and try not to get stuck. I'm not the best snow machine driver, and too many times in the past, I tried to do both and it just never works well for me. As you can see here, there's a small blue pool of water which is always exciting for tourists to see, and the dog team is approaching it actually quicker than I thought. All the while we are driving, I'm looking at the pool and looking at the trail and the team and seeing where everything is, trying to time just where we are and when would be the best place to make a photo. So I shot tight with the 100 to 400 lens at nearly 400 millimeters, and then switched bodies to the 24 to 105 to a little wider angle stuff. Just after they went by the blue pool, I noticed how great the clouds and mountains were in the back, so I quickly switched back to the 100 to 400 body and made a couple frames of that. I have to say, I really don't think this blue pool was one of the best shots of the day, but at least it did show a little variety. And then, to get as much variety as possible, we wanted to make it back in time to get them coming back into the dog lot, so off we drove quick as we could back to camp. Now, of course, as is typical for me, even though we're trying to get back to camp quickly, I see a shot and I want to get it even though I've already pulled the plug. So we ended up stopping because of that small dog in the big landscape idea again. But stop just 1 sec. Small team, big lens.
You're disappearing.
Foiled again. Dog team went out of sight. So off we screamed and we got to a place where we definitely could see the trail and the team. I love the patterns of the snow here, as well as showing the grand relationship of that small people in the big landscape. You're a good driver, a really good driver.
Oh, thank you. I'm trying not to throw you off.
Remember Rain Man?
Yes.
Okay, so they're going to stop the team here, right?
Yep.
Now that we're back at camp, I switch out to the 100 to 400 millimeter lens and add a 16 to 35 super wide angle to that body. So now I'm shooting with one body with that 16 to 35 and another body with the 24 to 105 as the group interacts with the dogs. This group of three were just as excited and exuberant as most, so getting plenty of images of smiles and dog kisses was really easy. These clients really know that I'm there and looking for those smiles. I don't think these tourists get enough of these dogs. And this group's last stop on the tour was, of course, the puppy pen, where these 12-week-old puppies are thrilled to be petted and cuddled and held. Again, I use my Canon 5D Mark IV with a 24 to 105 lens and a Canon flash as fill flash on a bracket above the camera. With that harsh sunlight we had that day, the fill flash really eliminates having such deep shadows. Now, that whole thing was a lot of work in a short amount of time, but it was fun. During a break from clients arriving by helicopter, we had an opportunity to take those wild puppies out for a puppy walk. They do the puppy walk for the animals, so not only do they get a lot of exercise, but they also get to interact in wide open spaces and learn to come back instead of running on forever and ever and ever. I wanted to get some puppies in action, just running their hearts out and smiling from ear to ear with those long tongues flapping in the breeze. So we took them by snow machine, probably a quarter mile from camp, so they wouldn't want to keep running back to camp and see the other dogs. We let them loose, and one of the handlers had a brilliant idea because they know the pups love to run after the snow machine. So she went around and around me with the snow machine so that I could get photos of the pups running by me as they chased the snow machine. I was on my belly photographing the pups at their level, and it was an absolute hoot and really a spectacular opportunity, which I think resulted in many good puppy images. And these were used in their social media campaign and point of sale banners. The puppy pictures always seem to get a good reaction on social media. During the day's photo shoot, a number of groups of clients came and went. Obviously, on a spectacular, sunny, warm day like this with energetic dogs, frisky puppies, a good time was indeed had by all. There were lots of smiles to go around. At the end of the day, I believe I shot close to 3,000 photos and edited them down to 386 keepers, which I sent to the client, including all of those that you saw here. The client was happy with the photo shoot, and the photos began appearing on their social media and elsewhere the day after the images were delivered. Well, I hope you enjoyed a little bit of the behind the scenes of photographing these pups and dogs in action and tourists. I hope you please like and subscribe to my videos, and I can't thank you enough for supporting me via Patreon. Thank you. Bye-bye.